All right. Welcome to this bi-weekly episode of the Boston Art Podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm Theo.
And we're here today just chilling.
Chilling at the beach.
It's a gray day. It's going to rain in the next hour or two. We don't really have a sense of self. What do you got there? What is that? Did you just pull something out of your hair?
Yeah.
What is it?
I think it's a piece of wax.
You pulled a piece of wax out of your hair?
Is this?
Let me look. Could it be a piece of the wax cat? So yesterday, we were at Savers.
I brushed my hair today.
And I found, well, I didn't find it, but I was the one who bought it.
I found it.
So I claimed dominion over it.
I don't remember if Raya or I found it.
Yeah, we were with our friend Raya at Savers, and we found a life-sized fucking wax cat.
It was a candle.
It is a functionally, in a utilitarian sense, it is a candle. But in an artistic, poetic, and visceral way, it is like a gross, smooth cat.
And it's not laying down or anything like you would expect a candle to be.
It's
like
standing.
Compacting. Yeah, it's standing up. Well, it's sitting up. It's in a curious cat position with its head tilted up. And it has blue eyes.
It looks like somebody took a hairless cat, and just fucking dipped it in wax.
Yeah.
And just forgot about it for like 100 years.
And it weighs like 8 pounds.
Yeah, it's surprisingly heavy.
Yeah.
Because it's not hollow.
Yeah.
Like, it's straight up to the core wax.
Yeah, and the wick goes all the way through, top and bottom.
Yeah, and I would burn it. Like, that would be cool as shit to just witness it being lit and burned, but no way. I don't think I'm gonna.
I wonder if
I think it's just gonna be a heinous, evil decoration that I just have for some time.
Where do you think it came from? Like, did someone make that and donate it? Or do you think it came from, like, Christmas tree shops?
You know, I couldn't say. I think by the look of the bottom of it, I feel like most commercially manufactured candles have a small metal disc on the bottom of them that is holding the wick.
It's true.
And that one did not. It just kind of had a frayed rope wick bottom.
But it was used, so it could have.
Yeah, it was. So the candle was lit briefly. Like it looks like someone lit it for a couple minutes and then put it out.
We found it at a thrift store. If we haven't said that already.
Yeah, it was Savers. We said that.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I also found something that was very peculiar that actually made me really happy, and it was very nostalgic and cool. It wasn't nostalgic at all. It was just like weird, actually. Nostalgic is the wrong word. But I found a clay head. If you know me, you know that I have a long history of creating a lot of clay heads. That was my 2016, 17, and 18 era of art for a long time. But I just found a fucking clay head that was just this monstrosity, ugly ass, like very crude, like portrait of a man with a beard. Like it was painted as well, which made it look very kind of childlike. But it was really funny because on the inside of the head, like the kind of hollowed out, with a lot of ceramic and terracotta stuff, you have to you have to hollow out the bottom.
So it doesn't explode in the camera.
Yeah, and the inside of the hollowed out bottom of the clay head was inscribed BH. So, like, which is something I do when I make clay heads. I, like, write BH. So I was just like, holy shit.
Meant to be.
Yeah, like, I obviously didn't make this thing, and I wouldn't make one that aesthetically looks like this specifically. But I was like, Jesus Christ. It's like a...
It was sort of similar to something that you might have made.
Yeah, I think it's just the tones, the colors I would never have used.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wouldn't have seen you paint it like that, but the way that it was put together...
Yeah, I feel like I don't really make images, because, like, you could say that I draw faces and people, but I feel like I don't really draw, like, they never look like people, in a sense. Yeah. And I was thinking about this recently, because I've decided that I literally don't do portraiture. I literally don't, and I never have. I've probably made under 100 portraits, real portraits of real people.
Well, you pumped it up with your quarantine
Ah,
portraits.
fuck yeah. Well, discounting the digital drawings of people that were portraits, I did over quarantine. As far as like sitting down and capturing the likeness of a person for a painting or a drawing, I just don't do. I draw people, but they just don't look like people, just like this clay head. I don't know, like, just like the clay head, it's like a man with like these very creepy blue eyes and a beard and like brown hair that looks like a helmet, like Beatles style brown hair.
It could have been a Jesus head, maybe.
It could have been Jesus, actually. That's a good point. Maybe it was
John
Jesus.
the Baptist.
Yeah, it does have a kind of a biblical sense to it, like he kind of an apostle aesthetic. But I don't know. As far as portraiture and drawing faces go, that's something I've been thinking about. One artist that I could talk about does that very similarly. Was it a seagull or a person?
I think it was a seagull, but there's also a small child over there. So.
Oh, we're at the beach, but it's very cold. But because a portrait is like, you know, when you look at a portrait of a person, like if I had a painting that was a portrait drawn by me of you, Theo, it would be us looking at the painting and contemplating the psychology of you, Theo. Like, this is like your visceral essence captured by me. But if it was a painting of a woman with a red cloth and a vase, and it wasn't you, but you were a model hired to represent this figure that I was drawing, it would not be a portrait of you. It would be a portrait of a woman with a cloth and a red vase.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? And we're no longer contemplating the psychology or the artistic, psychological nature of you, and now we're thinking about me.
Yeah, because
we're thinking about the artist, the depictor.
The model becomes an art object in a way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Right. And it's kind of interesting because I think I was going to talk about this artist, Odd Nerdrum, is a figurative artist from, I don't know, like Sweden or something, but he's a contemporary artist, but he does very like Renaissance-like people and figurative art, and they're usually, I would say, I think that they're real models and people that he's drawing. But one thing I really like about his art is that it is almost ethereal and like heaven-like and kind of middle, like in between life and death, where the people aren't wearing clothes that you would recognize. They're like invented clothes and like strange hats that you don't actually exist, and landscapes that aren't a real biome. But the way he depicts these people in these places is rooted completely in the technical tradition of realism. Where, like, you draw a rock, it looks like a fucking rock, even though it's a rock and a mineral that would never exist.
So it kind of puts it in a sort of dream state.
Yes. And that's where I think drawing people versus portraits ends up. Especially if you're the type of person that draws a person, like me, who draws a face with no reference.
Yeah. You're
drawing eyes and a nose and a mouth and ears and hair, and viscerally you know that it's almost like a street sign. You look at a street sign and it has a little picture of like a red, yellow, and green dot with a yellow rectangle around it. That's not a fucking drawing of a stoplight.
Yeah, but you know.
Or an intersection, but you know, yeah, and that's what drawing a face is like. You're drawing something where your brain looks at it and you're like, your brain knows that it's a face. It's like when you look at a tree in the bark, you're like, oh, yeah, that looks like a face a little bit. You kind of see the face.
Yeah.
A little bit.
There's a term for that.
Yeah, I think it's like blah, 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 obia or something, iblia, or one of those things.
Something like that.
Anthropomorphizing,
but I don't think that...
Oh, anthropomorphizing, I forget how to pronounce that.
That's like ascribing human traits to non-human
entities. It's like the reverse of personification. Where, like, I think you can use it in a clinical way and you can use it in a metaphorical way.
Interesting.
Where, like, I've heard, this is like a controversial take probably, but you know how they say elephants mourn their dead? We don't really know that they have this, like, they don't have the psychology of a person. Like, they're not a person, they don't have funerals, they don't know what a funeral is, maybe they don't necessarily know what death is in the way that we do, but they have certain behaviors that to us, it's like to us, these behaviors look like the elephant might be crying or petting or mourning. They look like they're mourning, but like, it's like when you see a dog and it looks like the dog is smiling.
Yeah.
That dog might not be smiling, like in the way that we culturally understand what a smile is.
I think there's more to the elephants thing, now that I'm thinking about it.
That's
but
why
I get
it's a
your point.
controversial
Yeah.
take. It's debatable.
I think they do have little funerals. I choose to believe that that's real. But
See, and that's the thing too with anthropomorphizing. It's like it's cool. You want it to be real.
yeah.
You know, I don't know.
But I'm like, my cat loves me. That's why he's getting at my legs, but really he wants me to feed him.
See, and now I like think that it's kind of real with pets. Like I think a pet maybe does love you.
You're like, my little
I want the pet to love me.
We've gone way off topic. At
No,
this point.
there is no topic.
Okay,
We're not
alright.
off topic.
Okay.
Don't say that. That's how you kill a conversation. Oh, jeez.
Look at these.
But yeah,
seagulls.
that would be like anthropomorphizing in a clinical sense. But in an artistic way, I don't know.
Like reading into something.
Yeah, maybe it means not even necessarily in a reading sense, but maybe even in a depiction sense, where you're showing something that isn't a human, isn't actually representing a person, but it is something that your brain might perceive as a person or a person like.
Yeah.
And not even necessarily in a horror or creepy way, like Uncanny Valley. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like a mannequin might not be an example of that, because that's like literally intended to represent a person.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like that is a utilitarian representation of a person.
Well, it's interesting though, because once you've kind of harnessed that, that's a very interesting narrative tool. Because
Yeah.
if you read into anything, like any work of art can be representation of the person who made it, or of a generic narrative, I guess. Because sometimes you don't use that necessarily to represent yourself as the artist, but more to make a point about someone or an entity or a relatable experience. Like, for example, still life.
Yeah, which for a lot of artists, still lives are portraits. That is a pretty common thing. There's one artist that I've told you about a million times that I think about often. I don't know this person personally, obviously, but there's an artist who I think is based in New York right now, who I met briefly once, Renee Cowette, I think is how you say her name. But she did this series where it was a show that she did at the Sandpaper Factory in Rockland, where there were these still lifes in the show that were paintings of people. Where I remember this one that I remember vividly, where it was a kind of assemblage of her father's belongings. Like there was a radio, like I think a pair of shoes maybe, or like a hat, or I don't know, like just things of that nature. And he had passed away, so he wasn't present, but it was this like painting of his belongings set up as if it was a, you know, just a picture of like a little side table in a living room.
Yeah.
As if somebody had set down their things after walking in, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah, and she, in her artist statement of that show, was that these are portraits of people. There's a lot more, but that's just the one that I remember.
Yeah.
I think it was called Public Radio or something.
It's like an implied presence of that person.
Yeah, viscerally, which is kind of an interesting thing, because even at that, like it definitely, I think it's a really interesting way to paint too, because that really it challenges the parameters of what a portrait is.
Yeah.
And can be.
Well, I like doing it that way too, because I like to think about the way that a viewer would interact with the work after it's done. And when you make a portrait, I do portraits that are representational a lot. But
Yeah.
I think they're fun to do as like an exercise. But something like that maybe challenges the viewer a little bit more. Because if you're looking at it and you see a portrait of a person, it's a person you don't know, you can read into their facial expression, their mood, or the tone of the piece, but you can't go a lot further than that, I guess. Maybe that's just my personal take, but if you see something like that that's a collection of objects, you can kind of guess a little bit at what that person's like, or what the person depicting it wants you to think that person is like, or what their relationship might be, or like insight into that person's home life, maybe. Like, it's kind of like walking into someone's apartment versus getting to know them.
Which kind of brings me to something that I wanted to bring up. You just gave me a perfect segue.
You're welcome.
That reminds me vividly of this time where,
Oh, I know what you're
my
gonna say.
cousin, he's an electrician. And just pretend like I've never told you this before.
Okay,
but
what are you going to say?
he's an electrician, and I did some work with him one time as a side job to replace smoke detectors in an apartment building. But it was a smoke detector in like every single apartment in this fucking building. And I expected this to be extremely boring, just like run of the mill, put the thing in, leave, work. But in like a Boston apartment building, we had to go into, I don't know. I mean, looking back, it was probably 25 apartments. It probably wasn't hundreds or something. But that's like what I remember.
That's still a lot.
Maybe 20 or something. But we just, like, every apartment you walked into, and it was one of those apartments where every single room, every apartment is an exact copy of the one above it and below it.
Oh, that's creepy.
They're just, well, that's how a lot of apartment buildings are. It's just the same apartment. Like, I've seen through the window of my downstairs neighbors.
Yeah.
And it's like the same fucking thing.
Yeah, but you're not normally going into all of them one after the other.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That's a
right.
creepy experience.
Right. And I was. And it was so weird because the ways each person and each group of people had individually arranged each place. It's kind of like that one cutaway scene in the sitcom Love on Netflix, where they all have these furnished apartments at the apartment complex.
Oh, yeah.
And there's the abstract painting in Gus's apartment, and then in the next scene in his friend's apartment who lives in the other building, it's like in the same place, but it's sideways.
Yeah.
And it looks exactly normal as well. Anyway, that's
like your apartment came with a toaster? I didn't get a toaster.
But, yeah, no, it was just really interesting because, like, there was one that was, like, this kind of, like, hip, like, young person's apartment with, like, a fucking ukulele and, like, paintings and, like, you know, a TV and, like, you know, it's, like, a nice little place. And then the next floor would be, like, clearly an apartment of, like, a senior citizen. And there was, like an airbrushed, like, antique photo in a frame on the wall and, like, old lady stuff, like old people smell, doilies.
Yeah.
Or then there would be one that, like, clearly there's a shitload of children living in this apartment. Because I think, too, that and none of the families were there for most of them, and none of the people were there because the apartment had, like, alerted all of them, so they probably were like, oh, fuck that, I'm not gonna awkwardly just sit in my room while the handyman is there. You know how it is, but... Yeah. So it was so interesting because each of those places, I didn't meet any of those people, obviously, but it was like I just got to contemplate who each of those persons were.
Yeah.
And it was really weird because, like, I don't know. I think that's probably why people like me don't have, like, trades jobs because, like, I couldn't focus on the work at all. I was just like, who is this person? What are they like? Is this how they smell?
You're like, Brian, you need to install this one.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, jeez.
Well, it's funny. I don't remember the details, really, but I think
that's why I'm unemployed.
You're self-employed.
I'm self-employed.
It's funny because I think...
fluctuating thing.
In a similar vein, there's a art piece by the artist Tracy Emin that I believe is called My Bedroom. I don't really remember the details. I'll look it up later and we can talk about it in another episode maybe, but I think she just took her actual bedroom and put it in a gallery.
Ooh.
Like all of her objects and the mess and clothes on the floor and unmade bed, like as it was.
Do you think she just stayed with a friend during the exhibition?
I don't know.
That's really cool, though.
I wish I had more to say about it. I've been recently looking into her more because it's one of those names that I've been hearing forever, but I just never did any research. But
yeah,
a lot of her work is
she's one I've heard about a bunch too.
A lot of her work is about externalizing intimate experiences in intimate settings. So, yeah. Damn. I'm sure there's other artists who've done the same, but I think she did that in the 90s.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, even like there's the famous exhibit of Francis Bacon's studio. Where I don't know where this is, or I don't know if it's a permanent exhibition or something. I just read about it once upon a time. But it's literally just like a replica of his literal studio in a museum. Yeah. And his studio, I don't know if you've seen the pictures, was like a very striking, chaotic, and like evil mess. Like it looks like from the TV show Hoarders. Oh man. Like it looks like a very, very stressful place to be. You know what I mean? Like his studio. And like, obviously, for people who don't know, Francis Bacon was an expressionist. I don't know if he was German or if he was British, I forget, but he was, he went down in history as a very, he was unstable, he dealt with a lot of demons, and he was a gay man in like I think mid-20th century. And yeah, he just had a pretty fucking weird life.
Well, that's a really interesting thing, too, when you're contemplating somebody's stuff. Okay, I'm distracted right now, but do you see that boat that looks like it's hovering over the water?
Oh, yeah, shit.
That's a pretty cool optical
illusion. Looks like a hovering line.
That was in the news recently. That's like a fog thing, I think.
Yeah, maybe the bottom of the boat also has maybe is white as well. It could have like a white.
It could be, yeah.
I don't know how you would describe the parts of a boat.
I just totally lost my train of thought, but
No, that's good. For the people at home, we're at the beach with a very white overcast sky, and out on the water it seems to be very foggy out there.
Yeah, we're parked in the car.
On
So
the sand. There's a lot of people doing this right now, actually.
yeah,
There's like 15 cars around.
just
us,
think
people chilling.
like classic South Shore Cape Cod noir. It hasn't rained yet, but it's going to soon. It's not summer, but it's
Yeah.
not winter.
Long
You have a
Beach in
coffee.
Plymouth, Mass.
It's kind of warm, but not really. You wish you were at home so you could just pour another cup, but you're at the beach.
I didn't
your
get this
car.
from home. I got this from Dunks.
Shh.
Cape Cod Noir.
Shh.
No, though, I was going to say, it's interesting to think about that, because I think I'm in the process of moving right now, and have been on and off for like 3 months, because
Right,
that's just
yeah.
the way things are. And I've been
Oh,
thinking
yeah,
about,
lots happened
Yeah.
since the last episode.
Oh, yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah. Oh, finish your
But
point, though.
I've been thinking about possessions a lot, because we're talking about this in like still life and maybe a 3D lens, I guess, if that's what we're talking about. It's interesting too to think about the ways that someone's space maybe doesn't actually reflect the way that they would like to be, but the way that they are. Like, I'm the kind of person that if you walk into my room and I'm not expecting you to be there, it's usually a mess. But that's not how I like it to be. It's
Yeah.
very jarring for me, but it's just how I function. And it's interesting to think about somebody like Francis Bacon. You're saying it was so like aggressively messy. Like if that was
So bad.
maybe that's how he liked it to be, but maybe not. Maybe that says more about where he was at the time.
Yeah, because I've had times in my life where my space was like absolutely fucking like in peril. Like it looked like a bomb had went off in there.
Especially studio space.
Yeah, and like I just could not will myself to remove any trash.
Yeah.
Like my first studio ever, the barn. I had many friends and many acquaintances through that time that had literally come over and like physically laboriously, is that a word?
I think so.
Like helped, like basically was like, we are cleaning this place.
Oh, that's nice.
Like because like it was also we used to like I don't know why, like I used to just not, like I had this thing where I just didn't care if there was broken glass, where I would just break a bottle or a cup or something and not clean it up,
Yeah.
and I just didn't care because I would just wear boots or something.
I'll do it later.
No, I just legitimately did not care. And would not clean it up. It just didn't matter.
Oh. Young punk shit.
Yeah. I wanted to be more punk than I was.
Oh,
But
same.
as punk rock goes, I haven't reached the ending of SLC punk yet.
Really?
No, I mean in my own life.
Oh, gotcha.
Like maybe I will arrive at that conclusion soon to be.
No, fuck that.
Yeah, probably not.
Close your shit. I hate the end of that movie.
I did like the end of that movie, and I wouldn't complain if that was me necessarily, because it seems like a good economic position to end up at.
That's true.
But I definitely... Is that movie old enough to spoil? Fuck this
Yeah.
topic. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, it
Were you
is.
talking... Did you finish your point about Tracy Emmons? Was there more there that we kind of got off track from?
Oh, I mean, I did finish my point, I think, but I had more thoughts about the possessions thing. So I was just
Yeah.
going to also say that something that I've been really reflecting on a lot lately is ways, because I've been in kind of I'm not a homebody. I like to be out, but when I am home, I don't like to spend my time cleaning and organizing unless I have to. So I've been trying to really kind of kick my own ass on that stuff, as far as like making sure that my home space is a safe and comforting environment for me when I am there. Because if you work full-time and you're doing other stuff and you have art and maybe other gig work going on, you're not home very often, and it's kind of a shame when it's like you get home at 10:30 and you have to clean your room for 2 hours. You're going to want to kill yourself. So
Yeah.
keeping it tidy and organized is nice, but when you're moving, and I've been displaced twice now because of coronavirus, and like either me getting it or roommates getting it and having to leave because of work or just not wanting to get sick again. And just moving to a different apartment. So I've been all over the place, and my stuff is everywhere right now. And it's just been interesting to think about, because something I've identified is being in an apartment where things are in boxes, even if it's not a mess, it's like an identity crisis. It's like my stuff is important to me.
Oh. So it's like transitioning out of the artistic depiction of stuff into a very literal sense, like when the stuff is fucked up,
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
Or when you don't have your things.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's, honestly, full disclosure, like, that in the past has been something I really had to keep tabs on. Because there was a period where I was collecting street trash for art stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it got, like, a little bit, like, hoarder-esque. Like, I didn't want to get rid of it because I had crafts I was doing, but it was literally, like, smushed cigarette boxes and stuff from the road. So I had a similar experience where a friend helped me get rid of those, but...
And it's interesting, too, because what we've talked about throughout this episode is what it means to depict somebody else's objects to represent them.
Yes.
But how do we use our objects to depict ourselves in a way that we actually want, that's in our control? Because if you were in fucking prison, all you'd probably have is a toothbrush and like maybe in like a few white t-shirts.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you'd probably take very good care of those things because they'd be your livelihood. But that would, you know, that would probably be a bit of a crisis because how could those things possibly represent you?
That's a big part of the reason why they do it.
We're talking about institutionalization.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of something like, yeah, I think maybe that's something that could be really important for somebody trying to lasso up their mental health and kind of lock some shit down, is like actually kind of trying to figure out what their objects say about them or what they want their belongings or their space to say about them.
Or even turning it in an inward audience kind of way, like what your objects reinforce to you about you.
Yeah.
Like, do you have the things you need to keep yourself clean, to take care of yourself? Comfort items, like fucking...
Yeah,
I don't know,
you talk about that a lot.
like music, smells, stuffed animals, like shit like that, like maybe it's superfluous, but also would it make you feel better?
Well, didn't you talk to me one time about the like taking care of your senses before you take care of your problems? Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I actually, on the Instagram page for the Boston Art Podcast, I made a little video about this, but I'll probably make a longer one because I've been thinking about it a lot lately. That's been my kind of band-aid way of fixing this stuff while I've been having my stuff everywhere. Because what I like to do, I've had a lot of people say this to me, and I realize it is true. I tend to, if I'm like camping out and I'm going to be making stuff all day, I make a little like nest almost. Like I'll sit on a couch and I'll just put everything. There's like food near me and all my supplies and paper and whatever, so I don't have to get up again. But if I don't know where that stuff is, if they're in boxes or just disorganized, or like ADHD brain shoved in a drawer somewhere, it can be distressing because then I have to like move around, find those things, maybe go out to the store and buy new ones if I don't know where they are, they're ruined or something. So just, I mean, I guess we're just talking about basic organization right now, but it can be difficult to stay on top of that shit when you're juggling a bunch of other things too. And where I've moved, I've been in Boston for 3 years now, I think. Yeah, it's 2021, 4 years. But 3 years. And I moved 4 times. So I have a lot of things that just never got unpacked or never got, like, there's not been a good stable setup. Where before, when I was living long-term at my parents' house, like, throughout my life, everything had a place and everything was where it was. So it, like, wasn't a thing I put a lot of thought in. But anyway, I found that is a shortcut to keeping that kind of stability of, like, if you have comfort smells or you have a list of, like, your top 20 really important items for, like, art making and, like, life stuff. Like, I like to keep lotion in my car because I have to sanitize at work all the time and it makes my hands dry. And that makes me, like, anxious. Or, like, chapstick or paints, like, certain colors that I need to have all the time. And it's like, if I have that stuff, everything else can be a little fucked up and that's okay. But I have those things that keep me in order.
So what you're referring to is like, oh, that girl just fell.
She's okay.
Okay. Like taking care of the smell of your room, or
yeah.
so that would take care of sense or feel. Maybe you describe that as having a nice blanket or a comfy sweater to wear.
Yeah, maybe. Or
Or
making
a
sure
nice
you're
chair.
not, like, cold or something.
Yeah, controlling the environment and your senses, and actually, because that's the thing too, is you may not ever be able. You may not. This is very distracting with these people around us. But
It's okay. They walked away.
you can't always control where you live.
Yeah.
You can't always control who is there.
Yeah.
If maybe you live with your family or you have roommates or something, or whatever.
We all have roommates.
But you can control, like your basic and immediate 5 senses.
Yeah.
I wonder, for a lot of
Even
people.
if you're, like, road tripping or something, you could do that. Like, in your car, you can have an air freshener. I just bought this, actually. You can keep your space clean. Because the thing is, I've always been, before this, the kind of person that's like, I'm set, I can sleep on the floor, I don't need a lot, I pack a backpack, I don't give a fuck, like, it's fine. And that's been cool in the sense that it's given me, like, I'm not the kind of person that would hesitate before accepting a life experience, which is nice. But it also means if you live like that all the time, like, why should my personal environment that I'm paying out the ass to rent be harsh for me if everywhere else is too?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me, I've thought a lot about over the years what is the true difference between like a homeless, like woofing traveler person and a touring musician. And the difference is like, or even just a regular homeless person, not even just somebody who's like lifestyle bound or something, but like the difference between touring is like, you're like, oh yeah, like roughing it, like sleeping in the back of the car, like same t-shirt for 3 weeks, like who gives a shit? You're doing that like knowing that you do in fact have a bed that you will eventually return to. Yeah. Versus the person who's like literally homeless is not. Yeah. And you're like active, you know, whether, you know, you can see that in a perverse way. But like, you know, those people, anyway.
You will at one point tap out of it though.
You will at one point return to your space. But this kind of, your point also reminds me of something that I've thought a little bit about is something in my brain I call transitional spaces. Which is, for better or worse, I don't think people should do this, but when you're on a bus or you're on the fucking train, you don't care what happens to it. Yeah. Like, people spit on the floor of the train, leave trash. There are people that would piss on the train. One time I was drunk, I was a drunk teenager. I smoked a cigarette on the train one time because I thought it would be cool and funny to do that. Like, there are people, like, people just don't give a fuck what happens. Yeah. You know, you might be an environmental person that doesn't want to litter, but are you going to pick up a bunch of trash on the side of the street in the city? You're probably not going to, especially not in COVID times. Yeah. These are transitional spaces. These are places that are not your space, that you're not responsible for, that you do not live in, that even if you, in a ideological sense, care about these spaces, you don't, that's not where you belong and not where you are, so you don't treat them with the same respect that you would your own space. Interesting. The problem is, I think, the problem that I fall into is I get real fucking liberal and lenient about what I'm considering a transitional space. So my car becomes one. Yeah. Because I don't give a shit. I'm just getting in my car for 20 minutes and then I'm at the next place. Yeah. Done. I got Dunks cups all over the place. Like, it's my car right now. Yeah, like when I smoked cigarettes, it was a fucking disaster. I had cigarette butts on the floor. I didn't roll down the windows when I smoked. I just fucking ash like right on the center I just didn't give a shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? I do that with bedrooms because I'm like, I don't hang out in my bedroom. I never have guests. I just sleep here, get dressed, and leave. Yeah. Who gives a shit if there's a plate stuck to a fork in the corner there? Oh God, yeah. You know what I mean? You stop caring. Like you just start declaring places transitional. You know, because you wouldn't treat, I don't know, like. Yeah. I don't know.
Kind of like what I was saying earlier about like if you're working and you're doing a bunch of stuff and you're only in your room for half an hour before you go to bed.
Right. And like that's the thing too. And like this is like a pretty cliche like mental health counselor way to think about things right now, but like what do you how much of your life do you sleep or eat or sit in your room or sit in your car? Like those like it or not take up a large portion of your waking existence. Yeah. And if those things are horrible, that's a pretty big chunk of your life that sucks. Yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't know, this is maybe a stretch, but I'm thinking about this with like curating friendships and stuff, because I think that's something people talk about a lot, maybe more than what we're talking about right now. Not just in mental health circles, but in general. Like, the people that are around you, you want to be people that build you up. Like, if you have a best friend, even if you don't see them in person, but they text you every day, and they give you shit all the time when you have new ideas, or like they make fun of you, or make fun of how you look or something. Like, maybe it's all in fun, maybe that's fine for some people, but that's not a great number one support. Like, that's not who you want to be bouncing things off of, and it's going to change your internal voice. But you have to think about also, the person you spend the most time with is yourself. And if you're giving yourself a shitty place to live, or if you're engaging in negative self-talk maybe, or even if you're not, even if you're trying your best to stay on top of things and you're manifesting and practicing affirmations in the morning and eating the right foods, but your room looks like shit and you throw things on the floor, it's like, why are you treating yourself like you don't deserve something better than to live in a space like that? If you walked into an apartment right now to rent and the room that they showed you had like dirty plates and clothes on the floor and like cigarette butts and shit, you'd be like, what the fuck? And you would leave. But then I will move into an apartment that is perfectly fine, and I'll do that to the space, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
That's true.
And then I come home from working an 8-hour shift and I'm like, why do I want to kill myself? Yeah. It's like, probably because I live in a dumpster. Dude.
Yeah, it's almost like this like immaterial. It's like a visceral inner monologue. We're talking about an inner monologue is really easy, because like for me, I thought about this a lot when I was like 18 or 19, and like I didn't have any idea who the fuck I was, and I was an idiot, and like I've been thinking about that a lot recently, because I don't think about what my purpose is in life, or what life means, or like those aren't important questions to me right now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I do have a purpose, and I do feel like life has meaning. So I'm not like, what is my purpose? Like, but I was at that time.
I really
And
don't.
and one thing that I used to think about a lot was literally my inner voice, because I had realized over time that my inner voice was actually like my parents' voice. And when I fucked something up, or when I couldn't do something, it was like I heard my parents like yelling at me.
Yeah.
Or something. Like the word finesse, for example, I only hear in my dad's voice.
Really?
Yes, because I'm very like ham-fisted with a lot of stuff. I can't do delicate stuff very well. Like I could never repair a watch.
Yeah.
Or something, or change the screen of an iPhone. You ever seen people who can do that at home?
Yeah.
That's crazy shit. I could never do that. Like I just break things when I'm holding them. But my dad's like, you gotta have finesse. And he says that about things when he thinks that you need to have a delicate hand. Or like,
It's such a funny thing.
gotta have finesse. Yeah. And like my parents are great people. I love them. They're not like bad or evil people, but I whenever I messed up, or I couldn't do something, or I thought I should be doing better, it was like I heard my parents yelling at me inside of my brain.
Yeah, that's so normal too.
And that's not me. I don't, and like that doesn't mean they're bad, but that doesn't mean that that's who I should be either.
And it might not even have been a situation where they would have actually yelled at you.
Maybe not.
I do that to myself all the time. Like I'm like, my parents are gonna fucking kill me. Then I tell them about it, and they're like, oh, so what'd you do? Like how'd you fix it?
But
and I'm like, oh shit.
I feel like that's even more healthy though, because like there were times where I would yell at myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't. There was a time before, like in a before time, where I didn't know that that wasn't me.
Yeah.
I thought that was like an original OC. Like I created this vibe.
Yeah.
And that's not the truth. And like I didn't solve that by moving out. And I didn't go to college and move away to college like a lot of other people did at that time. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think I found that was coincidentally within the same couple of years, like 17, 18, 19, that I started doing DIY music.
Interesting.
So, yeah. And I think that because a lot of people's escape, I think, and branching out from the nuclear family and becoming their own independent entity is they move away to college.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, they join the army, or they become a hobo or something, or a drug addict. Just kidding. But like,
I mean, different strokes.
But for me, that escape and that independence was playing shows and organizing shows.
Yeah. And
meeting, it's so funny because I think back to some of the things that I've said on microphones and online and in songs. And, like, there is a very good reason that I probably have, like, 10 albums and EPs that I've just deleted. Just complete, like, didn't even archive. Just fucking bombed them.
Yeah.
Get them out of here. But,
You're so cutthroat about doing that.
I honestly don't give a shit because I don't know, man. Who knows? Maybe in the future, like, there will be a time where like some like asshole like will be able to like recover deleted files from like a website that doesn't exist anymore because it's the future.
Yeah.
Like who knows, man? Maybe that'll happen. I don't care. It's none of my business. But I just think, I don't know, man. I think too, there was also a time during this exact same time period that I'm talking about finding myself where throughout my entire middle school experience and high school experience, I filled up like probably maybe like literally like hundreds of notebooks.
Yeah.
Like just lined spiral bound notebooks. I would use them as sketchbooks, or I would write lyrics and journal, and I would try to write books and write short stories. And I would just write. And they were very bad and embarrassing probably. But during this time period when I was concerned with purpose and meaning in life, I burned all of them in this big bonfire.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there was all the little, like, embered... If you've ever burned a large pile of paper, you will know that they float into the air in like chunks of, like, paper, smoke, and embers, and it will rain embered ashes very
Your
slowly
thoughts.
around you.
Huh.
It was quite meaningful. But
Were you trying to separate yourself from your past identity?
yeah, I think that literally, like, yeah, completely. Like, where I think that I was just like, I don't know, because it wasn't like I was like quit writing now. Like, it was just
Yeah.
like I just was like, these aren't me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big like archive person. Like, I
Yeah.
want to save things and document things, and I'm meticulous, and I try to preserve things that are important to me. Like, I really care about that. Like, I think that,
That's why that story is so interesting to me.
Yeah,
It seems so antithetical to.
well, I'm the only one that will document what I have.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, just because people like that's why I hate when people say, "Oh, you got to save this. Why are you selling this?" Or like, "Why are you?" I don't know. Like, it's because I'm the fucking archivist here. Are you gonna help me archive this?
Yeah, no.
Are you going to rent a storage space for me?
It's true.
No, I'm not going to save this. Or fuck you. I don't know, whatever. But because that's the thing. If you don't do it, no one ever will. If you don't save your shit, no one's gonna.
Well, you know what's funny? Maybe this is a very unique situation, but I've been reflecting on this a lot, specifically in the past couple of weeks. Because, like, as I mentioned, I got displaced from my apartment because of all 4 of my roommates right now have coronavirus.
Damn.
When I found out the first one got sick, I called my mom, and I was like, what the fuck?
What do I do?
And she just
Help,
was like,
Mom!
Just move in, come home, then we'll figure it out. So I drove an hour south. I'm in Plymouth, Mass now, where I grew up. And I was fucking around in the basement in the first few days that I was here. And I knew that they were there, but I haven't really gone through them in a while. My mom saved everything I've ever made in my life. Because I was homeschooled, so a lot of that stuff actually had, like, not clerical value, but in case the school board were to audit us and check to see if I were at a proper educational level, it was evidence that I was doing book reports and, like, school shit, and, like, there were notebooks of, like, science homework and all this stuff.
Because of homeschooling?
Yeah.
Oh, got it, yeah.
So there were big Rubbermaid bins, but because I've also been doing art for a really long time, I think my first art class I was, like, 3 years old, which she also put me in, obviously. I have years and years and years and years of notebooks and sketchbooks and journals and stuff. And I thought that I had taken all of them to my new apartment, but I found 3 that I didn't know existed from ages 15 to 17. Because I think what I did is I had multiple journals at the same time. So I
Yeah.
just thought that I didn't write excerpts for certain days, but I did in a different notebook that she had. And she never, as far as I know, she's never read any of them or looked at them or anything, but she just kept them in a bucket because she knew that one day I'd want them. And it's been crazy because I'm 23 now, going on 24 this year, and all of these thoughts and experiences that I didn't remember, that in retrospect were pretty formative and explain a lot about how I am now, were documented in these journals that I didn't know existed until this past week. So I've been spending a lot of time just actually coming to the beach here and reading them.
Sitting with your former self.
Yeah.
Because that's what journaling does. It creates a conversation with present you is communicating with past you is communicating with future you.
Yeah.
It's a kind of like, you know, like trinity
Yeah.
between these 3 selves and possibly more, where it's like, the thing is, you cannot enjoy the fruits of your labor of journaling until I think you've been doing it for like 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
Because that's why I think a lot of people don't, because they write 1 page and they feel like an idiot and then they lose the notebook and never write it again.
Yeah.
But if you can just, like, it's like gardening. You know what I mean? Or it's like you gotta trust the process.
It's so
with
valuable
journaling.
too, because you can look back, like what my experience was with these specific times where I remembered the events, maybe, like I knew what happened because I had other friends that were there, and like I had this narrative in my head of like, yes, this experience occurred, but I didn't remember how I felt about it, or
Yeah.
like what, like maybe things that I experienced and nobody else was there for, or conversations I had with friends that are long gone, and things that just kind of, like, your brain can only hold so much information. I don't remember shit that happened 10 years ago, you know?
Yeah, for real.
But it affected me emotionally at the time, and it explained some things that I still feel now, or insecurities that I have. Like, there was one instance of a fight that I got in with my mom, or like some other shit that happened with an ex-girlfriend or whatever, that I don't even remember it happening, but they're things that I get insecure about now, or things that I think about now as like an anxious thought, like, oh, this might happen. And I didn't know why, and now I do, and it kind of takes the power away from those things, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I've had a bit of a problem with journaling sometimes in the past, where like, this isn't really a problem, but it's kind of an interesting detail, I guess, about self. But I noticed reading a lot of my old journals that I have a habit of really detailed writing about how I feel and what I'm thinking, but I would often not document what actually happened.
Oh.
Where I would write down, like, oh, like, I fucking hate my life, or this is fucking me up, or, like, I'd talk about this thing that was affecting me so deeply, but I wouldn't write the thing down.
Yeah.
I just forget to do that because because I do this thing that helps me write easily or better, where I write assuming that the reader knows me. I write, I'm assuming because the reader is me.
Yeah.
With my fucking journals, you know what I mean? But I write assuming, it's kind of like when a textbook assumes you've already read another textbook.
Yes.
And that's what I do with my journals. And like the thing is with that though, it's like you're saying you're reading about things that you forgot about.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit. Sometimes I read back on mine and I'm like, reading about this thing that like I was ready to jump off a bridge over.
You're like, what happened?
And I don't even know what happened. I can't even fucking remember. I know how I felt on like March 9th, like 2013 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on.
There's a lot of that in mine too.
Yeah.
Because I think at the time, especially with like teenage brain, you're just like, I'll never forget about this. This is the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. Like, this is the worst fucking thing in the world. And it was just something stupid. Somebody, like, I don't know. You went to go visit some girl at her job and she didn't look at you. And then you went home and cried about it.
Yeah. Or you like asked somebody out on a date and they said no.
Yeah, you don't even remember
And
their
it's
last
like,
name
and it
now.
like fucking like was like an arrow through your heart and soul and you died.
And you died.
It does suck to ask somebody out and they say no though. Like you got to just take it on the chin and move on, obviously. But it's like,
You're the only person I've ever asked out.
really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm a lay traps and wait person.
Yeah, that's
Like heavily implied, but don't do anything about it.
that's I don't know. I mean, I think that's a better way of doing it because like
Not very proactive though.
not necessarily. I don't know if we want to get into like the dating advice like corner of the internet, but like if I had to, I would say that I have fancied people that I am friends with
Yeah.
and that I care about. And when there is doubt that maybe that person doesn't want to have that type of connection with me, I will choose friendship every time.
Same.
Like I wouldn't just roll the dice on somebody that I just literally care about as a person.
Yeah.
In the event that they were like either offended
it's like
or
weird.
made to feel, I'd just rather be friends with that person than be like, hey, maybe I'd have sex with you if you were down.
Just so you know.
Like, might be cool.
Yeah. I get
Let's
that.
do it.
I get that. That's a good take.
Anyway.
I think for me it just boils down to a pride thing. I'm just like,
Oh yeah.
if I might lose, I'm just not.
You don't want to play if you might lose. Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. That's a different topic. But I was gonna say though, to double back on the journaling thing.
I'm such a great guy that I would choose friendship. That's so bullshit. Fuck me. Don't fucking listen to me. That's my good person public take. I've made some absolutely idiotic decisions.
My public take.
I'm a
is I
fucking
don't lose.
idiot. Whatever I just said is probably bullshit.
Do you think either of us have any exes listening to this podcast that are like,
I would rather shoot myself than think
Then
about
no.
that.
true? Holy fuck. All right. Anyways, this topic is canceled. I hate this.
Oh God. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, no. Backing up, rewinding.
We'll have to make a different episode about that type of thing. That'd be a really funny
That would be a
one.
funny episode.
It would be a really funny episode to discuss polyamory.
Yeah.
That would be like a murderous episode.
That sounds like the kind of episode that I would record and be like, that was sick, and then go home and have a panic attack for 6 hours.
Yeah, and then never delete it immediately.
Like every episode.
Yeah. All right.
No.
Enough of that.
What I was going to say is, I feel like something else to bring it back to art that is really valuable at journaling is that it gives you kind of a more solid idea of your own personal narrative. Because it's really easy to rewrite that in your memory. And I think it's easier to make work that is
insightful about your own experiences if you know what you really felt about them and what really happened. Because it's so easy. I think you're the one who said this to me, that the brain remembers things based on emotion. Like, if you...
I don't know if that's true. That's just what I suspect.
I think
obviously.
That is a true thing.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, I think there's definitely been things that have happened in the past where I just... Like the story my mom was telling you the other day, where we're talking about my first vocal performance.
Oh, yeah.
That fucking sucked. But I found a video of that, and it happened completely differently than I remember. The story that I told you, which I totally thought was true, and I've told other people, was that I was performing this song. And
Dark Blue by Jack's Mannequin.
Jesus
is that what
Christ,
it is?
Yeah. I was like...
Sorry.
I was like 16, and my younger brother and I were in the same ensemble, and I was really into like indie pop at the time, so probably would have picked an equally embarrassing song, but he was really into like pop punk kind of stuff at the time. And I think our vocal teacher, I don't know if she mixed up the song list or if she was trying to challenge me or what, but she picked a song for me that I had no idea. It wasn't on the list of songs that I suggested. That's how she did it. She took like 6 songs that you liked and picked one that would work for you. And she gave me the song, and I was like, what the fuck? But instead of doing the normal thing, which would be, hi, this isn't the song I submitted, I just ate it because I was mortified.
You were just like, fuck it, I'll do it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to tell her. In
It'll
case
be
she made a
mean.
mistake, I don't want to be
It'll make her
mean.
feel bad.
Yeah. So then I just committed really hard to this song, and I was practicing it for 4 months in ensemble, and the whole time I wanted to die. And to be fair, I also, because I was so embarrassed about it, I didn't really practice it at home. I was just doing the once a week practicing at vocal group thing.
Yeah.
So then the fucking recital rolls around, and I get there, and it's like, I'm performing with my brother. We both had solos, and then we had a group song that we did, which was Blow by Kesha, which was great, by the way. It was very... You get the vibe. But I get up on stage, everybody's there, my whole family's there, everybody's families are there, and I started singing it. And there's a band also, it wasn't just like me, it was like other musicians that were part of the group, like the place that I was studying at were playing for me. And I just don't remember the fucking words, and I'm just staring at the ceiling. And they specifically told me not to stare at the ceiling, because I kept doing that during rehearsal, and I kept not being able to see my vocal teacher's face. And I told her that I was worried I'd forget the words, so she was like, don't look at the lights, because you won't be able to see me, and I'll mouth it to you. And that's exactly what I did, and I was looking at her, and I couldn't see her, and I was just like, fuck. And the way I remembered it is that I ran off the stage and just like started crying or something. But when you watch the video, I just fucking started laughing. I was on stage and I was just laughing, but I wanted to die, but you couldn't tell. I just looked like a jerk.
But that sense of like humiliation that you probably felt like in the weeks after, ended up creating
this false memory of
a new memory.
And I watched the video with my mom the other day, and she was like, it wasn't that bad, you just started laughing in the middle of your song. And I was like, oh,
that's an interesting thing, that your teacher didn't want you to look at the lights or the ceiling or something. Because you know what I do when I perform is there's nothing scarier performing to me than just looking directly into the eyes of the audience and just looking at each individual person while I'm playing, and just like singing and then looking at like just some guy.
The recommendation was to look over people's heads.
Yeah, what I usually do is, can you stare and then just make your eyes blurry?
Yeah.
And you're not seeing anything? That's what I do.
That's
where I'm just... because like I try not to close my eyes too much, because I don't know why. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. But I look at the people, but my eyes are blurry so that I'm not actually looking at them, but maybe they think I am.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if anybody
like
that knows me very well knows that I'm not very much of a performer.
Sure.
So this was like one of maybe a handful of performance experiences that I had.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak on it, because I think that was the last time that I was on a stage, to be honest with you. This podcast is the most public thing that I've done other than my art account.
Well, I think it's really nice. I agree. Like, it's the most public thing I've done in a long time, probably, because of, because of the whole thing.
The stuff.
But
COVID.
Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Dissociates at the same time. But literally. What I really love about this podcast is that I just feel like I've had so much perspective since the last time I tried to do something like this, or the last time I've taken on a legitimate writing endeavor or performing. Like I had a really different mind for performing before COVID and this podcast and stuff. Sorry, just got a little nauseous. But like, okay. I used to try. I was creating a persona essentially, that was essentially a copy of me.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I'm like, oh, I'm Elvis, what, you know, I'm not, wasn't like making some rock star fake person or something, but I was just, it was as if I had created an avatar of myself.
Yeah.
To show people, like a fucking
You're being
my
Brian
memoji. But like I had created another person that was a filtered, like vanilla, cool, like, you know, like polished thing. And that's so shitty because who the fuck am I performing for?
Yeah.
Who am I? I'm performing for my friends, right?
Yeah.
I'm a local musician. So I'm performing for these people that I have relationships with.
Yeah.
And I'm showing them a fake version of myself that I believe is sellable.
Yeah.
Or is this thing I'm trying to sell.
But they already know you.
And not only do they already know me, but what happens when you end up in the horrible, unpredictable situation where they don't know you at all and they only know this weird little fucking avatar of yourself? You get to a point where you're hanging out with people for a couple years straight, pretending to be some random fucking person, playing fucking songs that you don't even feel like you wrote.
Yeah.
To a bunch of people that aren't buying your shit because they're your fucking friends.
Yeah.
And they don't even fucking know you.
Yeah.
And you probably don't even know them.
Huh.
Because you don't even know yourself. Because you've been pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you become that person. It's like how moms say, like, oh, keep making that face, it'll get stuck like that. It's the same fucking thing, dude.
Yeah.
And that's fucking whack. Why the fuck do I want... Why was it that I could never go on stage and talk like I am right now?
Yeah.
What was wrong?
Yeah.
What was going on in my head? What was I so afraid of?
Well, I don't know. It's hard, though. It is a hard thing to do.
I mean...
It's not like you were just an idiot or something.
But the thing is, though, is I don't... yeah, you're right, whatever.
Maybe that's unnecessary to say.
No. I mean, it's tough. It's definitely an interesting...
You're so right, though, yeah.
Like, I don't know why I think that I really was afraid of people knowing me. I thought that if this fake person is rejected, then who cares?
Yeah.
It's not me anyway.
Interesting.
But if I'm rejected, as I truly am, if I reveal my face as it truly, truly is, and you don't like it,
Yeah.
what am I then?
Yeah.
I am nothing. Not really. I don't really feel like that, but that's how I did feel. I don't feel like that right now. But also, it's kind of interesting too, because I went from having a life where I was around like 20 people every night, or large groups. Literally, my friend groups was a group of people. Like there was not many times where I was with one person.
Yeah.
I was always with a small group or a large group.
It's funny that you say that.
And here we are. Me and you have been hanging out every day pretty much, with some, you know, obviously like not every day, but like most days for like a year straight with only us.
Yeah.
And it's not, I love spending time with you, but like, I don't think that you've invoked some magic that has made me be vulnerable or act like myself. But I think it might have something to do with, I don't know, like if I change my appearance, I'm not thinking like, oh, what's everybody gonna think?
Yeah.
I might be thinking, like, what are you, Theo, going to think?
Yeah.
That's like it, really.
Yeah.
I see my immediate family every week or so, and I see you.
What's the thing? I think COVID has really changed.
That's it.
I think this past year has really changed a lot of people's perspectives on this, because I relate to that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because we've talked about this, about our own relationship.
Yeah.
When we first started talking, we were two totally different people interacting in totally different
very
way.
different people.
Which is hilarious now. Like, we were both so full of shit, didn't even know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know what... This is a thing that I was doing... Because I did a really similar thing in a different way. Because I'm not a performer, I'm not a musician, but... in like a fine arts academia way, I think I did that, where the person I was at school and the person that I was at when I worked at the museum, and like, I don't know. I think I had a friend group that did get to know me, but it wasn't something that I was trying to do. Like, they just happened to be great people, and I got vulnerable with them.
the people that I worked with at the museum. But when I was in the museum, like with my office coworkers and stuff, and people that maybe didn't come to my house and know me as well on a personal level, I was a completely different entity. And it was to a point where I would make jokes with my friends about it, that I was just like, this is my work self.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's normal in a work setting, I guess, but when your work setting bleeds into your art and your writing and school and academia and the way you present things and your writing and everything, like, it kind of turns into a different facet of your identity.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about kind of a similar thing.
Yeah.
And the only reason that I ended up casting that off is because of lockdown. In part because I was living with my brother. So it was like, who the fuck am I trying to fool? Like, he's been here this whole time.
Right.
But yeah.
It almost reminds me, too, of what we were talking about earlier with transitional spaces. It's like we're perfectly okay with spitting on the floor in a bus. Like, maybe you aren't. But, like, you know, some people don't give a shit. Or most people don't care. So is that kid on the ground over there writhing in pain? Or is he, like, picking up little rocks?
I think he's picking up little rocks.
Okay,
but
there's a person crouched and hunched over the ground over there. And that kid,
that's just a
that kid's
child.
just messing with the sand.
Yeah, it's just a kid.
But it's kind of like transitional spaces where it's like there are spaces that you are in all of the time that you, for some reason, have taught yourself that isn't the real life space. That's just the car on your way to the job. Or like this is the train like in between your stops. But like in like so what now we're doing that. Now we're talking about doing that with our fucking identity. Where it's like this is a part of my life that I don't give a shit what people think about me, or like, and that's healthy. And like I don't know what I'm saying. This is so like
No, I think you're
it's
right.
getting complex.
I think you're right, but I think there's a missing piece there, at least in my experience, because it wasn't that I didn't give a shit about those people's opinions or I didn't give a shit about the space. It was that I didn't give enough of a shit about myself and didn't think I had enough to bring to the table. So I was being this version of myself that was more put together, or more adult, or more professional, because I thought that if I wasn't and someone saw me, I was 21 at the time, but like if someone saw me as how I was, which they all fucking did, realistically, like I wasn't fooling anybody, then I wouldn't be good enough. It's kind of like, this is the thing we've been doing a lot lately, of going to the skate park in Plymouth and like just hanging out, and it's mostly like young kids and teenagers there, and all of them think that they're so cool, and you can tell how insecure all of them are at the same time.
Yeah, and they're all pathological lying children.
Yeah,
Like, dude,
that was me.
I smoked 6 ounces of weed last night.
Oh my god.
Or something.
I heard a kid say that the first time he smoked weed, he was 6, and it was a fairly pleasant experience.
Yeah.
He was like maybe 13.
Nice.
It's like good for him if that was true, I guess. Whatever.
It definitely isn't.
Maybe not good for him, actually, but whatever. Long story. But it's the same kind of thing. Like, the other people that were in those spaces, I'm sure my, like, 35-year-old coworkers saw me being 21 talking about, like, Frida Kahlo for 6 hours, and they're like, you're adorable. How's art school? And that's, like, that's fine. But I could have just been that person and not been this stressed, versus going home and being like, I'm a piece of shit. If everyone knew that I lived in an apartment like this and that I just, like, didn't take care of my shit, and I'm just, like, a messy person, and I smoke weed every night, and I hang out with my friends and do stupid shit in the city, they wouldn't like me anymore. I wouldn't have this job, or nobody would listen to my presentations. And it's like, they're listening to you because of what you're saying. And they already know these things about you. Maybe not specifics, but you're not that bad of a person just because you're inexperienced or you're not confident. Like, that's less about the space being transitional and more about the internalized idea that you are transitional in that space, that you don't matter to that setting.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
And that's another thing, too. If you work at a job and you work 40 hours at that space, even if there's like 900 other people that work there, that's 40 hours a week that you are present.
Yeah.
In that building. You are a fixture in that environment.
Yeah.
So, like, that place, like, in the grand existential scheme of things, like, you know, you could die and they'd replace you, but, like, in the present moment, like, you are an integral part of an environment.
Yeah.
And like, you are there. People are perceiving you. They smell you. They see you. Like, maybe they've, like, wondered what your middle name is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, even if you work in an institution that doesn't give a fuck about you, your coworkers that are also in that institution do.
Or even just people passing by.
Yeah.
Like, you're there. Like, I once worked with a guy when I was working in a mental health place. This is a public doctor man that you also know, Dr. Schrand. Dr. Joseph Schrand. But he would always say, I'm only saying his name because he's a dude that, like, writes books and is, like, intentionally in the public eye.
Yeah.
But he says things along the lines of, like, he used to say things like, you influence every single person that you are around every day, even if you don't know them.
Yeah.
And we, you know what I mean? And I think that that's a really important thing to consider, because it's not, I feel like was saying it, or I understood it in that context as like, because this was a mental health program. So if you act fucked up, everyone will act fucked up, or things like that. But like, even without that, like, we often end up in places or in parts of our life where, I don't know, like where we don't give a fuck about ourselves and about that environment and about, you know, who we are, who's there. But like in all reality, you know, when you're standing in line at Dunks and like you don't even have like a pulse, you're like staring at the floor, like waiting to get a coffee, like that's your real life.
Yeah.
Those people there are in their real lives too.
Yeah.
100 years ago, none of them existed.
100 years ago, none of them will. 100 years in the future, none of
Yeah,
them will.
like, and like it's kind of like, I really love when people say like we're all babies. Like everybody is a baby.
Is that what people say?
Well, I've heard a number of people say, like Jerry Saltz, I feel like says things like that sometimes, or like, or other people on the internet. But like we're all babies once. We were all born.
Yeah.
We're all just a bunch of humans with ancient mechanisms.
Yeah.
You know.
And probably everybody around you feels the way that you feel also.
Yeah. I
Maybe
think,
not specifically, but in general sense.
Yeah. In some sense, like that's something that I like to think about that makes me feel better, is that my brain and my body was designed to like kill like animals and like hunt and like, I don't know, like
do animal shit.
Yeah, like I'm an animal.
Yeah.
Like effectively, like if an alien came here and saw me, they would perceive me probably not that much different than like a dolphin or a moose or something, right?
Yeah.
Like we're just flesh and blood beings. And my brain was not designed to like categorize and effectively manage an iPhone that's sending me 3 fucking million notifications a day and telling me that I'm supposed to be famous. Like I'm supposed to be eating bugs and climbing trees and shit.
Yeah.
And making sure I don't die from like a gangrenous infection in my leg from like an arrow.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck fuck life.
Fuck life.
What is this podcast?
Well, I guess to bring it back to the beginning, because what is this podcast right now? But
this is a good episode.
It is.
All right, say where you go.
I think the reason that I'm talking about this stuff is because it's very important to consider all of these things. Because when you talk about the difference between a human and an animal, like, if you came across a raccoon right now that was doing great for himself, and he was well fed, his mental health was awesome, like he was just on top of his shit.
Wait, I missed the first part.
It's a raccoon.
A raccoon.
A raccoon who is hustling and grinding. he would not be making fine art. He'd be a raccoon. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you are on top of your shit and you're like taking care of yourself and putting yourself in the best place that you can be, you also are blessed with the ability to have abstract thought and to build on the knowledge of other humans before you and concepts of other humans before you and create something amazing. But if you're bogged down in I hate myself 40 hours a week and I hate this place, I hate, like, just, even if you keep the same job and keep the same apartment, nothing really changes, but you can shift your mindset, or you can make it more comforting for you, or you can see the things in it that you really enjoy. You can put yourself in a better position to be able to make good work. And if you are miserable all the time, the natural thing, it's not even a bad thing, I've been there, everybody's been there, you're going to spend your free time recharging and like trying to make yourself feel better because you're beating the fuck out of yourself mentally every waking moment. So if you don't do that, maybe you don't need that time to recharge as much. You still should in some aspects, but maybe you can use that time to do things for you, or to do things for your art, or to do something that maybe you wouldn't have been able to otherwise. Which is why, I mean, I know we've talked about this before, maybe not on the podcast, but face-to-face anyway, that like the idea or the mythology of like the starving artist or like the troubled, mentally ill painter is such fucking bullshit, and it makes me so mad. So it's like, not to say, I think the last time I talked about this was the first episode, and I didn't like the way I phrased it, because it made me sound bad, but I thought, I don't know, maybe it didn't, but I think the way I phrased it made it sound like I didn't think that people were capable of doing that stuff when they're mentally ill, and that's not true. I am fucking mentally ill, but I think putting in active work to make it easier and kind of stay in a place which is different for everybody, but your own spot of stasis or your own spot of contentedness allows you to be able to think about those higher needs. Like, if you want to put it in psych terms, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the top of the pyramid, it's like a pyramid of things that you have to
Like a food
do.
pyramid visually.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, I think the bottom rung is like physiological and safety needs, and then
A warm
social
blanket,
needs.
clean clothes.
Even lower than that, food, water, like
Okay.
oxygen, and
Yeah.
then like warm blanket, clean clothes, a stable housing situation, like able to meet your needs,
In the
food,
pinnacle.
stuff like that. Way at the top, after like love, friendship, like things that make you feel good as a human. The very top is self-actualization.
Oh,
And
fuck.
This is actually in the Virago Manifesto.
Oh, cool.
This was
Okay.
our philosophy, is
Throwback.
that self-actualization is synonymous with the ability to make work that is introspective. Because you don't know who you are, and you don't have the ability... Like, imagine if you were on a sinking ship trying to make paintings about spirituality. Are you thinking about spirituality? Are you thinking about not drowning?
You're thinking about grabbing a fucking bucket.
Yeah, you know? And if your mental health is in crisis all the time, how are you going to be able to do any of the things that you want to be able to do? Not even getting into shit like commissions and like stuff
It's
that
true.
you have to do with your art.
Yeah, and this is why so many spiritual principles and so many spiritual practices have to do with aiding other people in achieving that self-actualization. It's because in order to achieve self-actualization, like actualization and, you know, like spiritual growth and stability is by helping other people get it. You know what I mean? And that's like why so many things like AA or something like are predicated on the idea of, like, you know, in the 12 steps of AA, the 12th step is to take other people through the 12th step.
Oh,
Did
interesting.
you know that?
I
like,
didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's like when you achieve, then that, and I think that kind of doubles back too to us having a purpose in life, wanting to have a purpose. And for a lot of people, and I think a lot of spiritual practices, in a very simplified way, that purpose is to increase the amount of good in the world.
Yeah.
And to spread the word of the Lord, or
Yeah.
to, you know, to what, I don't know, help people reach ego death or nirvana. Or I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But like, and I think that, yeah,
That
whoa.
was the idea behind Virago, I guess. Like, the things that we believed as a group was that if we stayed a group and we tried to encourage each other, like, I mean, everybody talks about like Warhol and the Factory and how all of those artists being in that space led to so many different like breakthroughs in contemporary art, but it wasn't a positive environment. Like, there was a lot
Pretty
of
toxic,
toxicity
yeah.
and theft and just
Suicide, drugs.
racism, sexism, suicide,
Yeah.
drugs, like so much bullshit going on there. But if they were all people that actually cared about the success of one another, that could have been something way more important. Not even just...
Until they became polyamorous.
Oh my god. And then it gets complicated.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know.
I'm such an asshole.
That's a different point. But,
No,
do you know what I mean, though? Like, if you...
I think you're completely right.
like, it's not even about any individual person's success, because it is, and that's great. Like, mutual aid is really important. But in terms of artistry, nobody discovers anything entirely on their own.
Yeah, it's like nothing's really created in a vacuum. And like, you know, and most artists that you will read about in their biographies or on the wall text at museums, if like, you got to remember that those bootstrap stories, okay, to rewind a little bit, most wall text and biographies are a polished and beautiful and cool version of what really happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like the truth isn't always as sexy, you know?
The winner rewrites history.
Yeah, man. And the story of the mentally ill artist, like triumphing and fucking making it and becoming rich is really not that much different than like the Dale Carnegie shoe shiner to Wall Street man in 1934. Like, it's the same fucking story.
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain's story, and as far as the shape, the Vonnegut shape of the story is like, you could say the same as, I don't know, like Tim Ferriss, like the 40-hour work week, the 4-hour work week guy, or fucking Joe Rogan
Yeah.
and Kurt Cobain. It's effectively the same thing. It's like, you know, man goes from nothing but is a visionary, cool guy and sees the beauty in things when other people don't, and he makes it anyway, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not a rich guy at the top, it's a poor guy with money,
Yeah.
you know?
But
it's all the same story.
But realistically, if Kurt Cobain got effective
Oh, I just
treatment
fucking
or
left
was...
the cool point that you made.
Oh,
okay,
no, it's
go
okay.
ahead.
It will...
Fuck.
It's okay.
Well, if Kurt Cobain had gotten treatment and...
Which they tried to give him.
Yeah, but that never works unless the person is on board, and that can be hard. But if he got treatment for mental health issues, got sober, like, all that good shit, say he was alive today, like, I don't know, maybe we missed out on a collaborative album with him and Francis Bean.
Dude, yeah, one stupid, like, thing that I used to say when I was in high school was like, dude, imagine the solo acoustic album Kurt Cobain would have made if he didn't die.
It's true.
I used to say that a lot. I used to think that was a cool thing to say. Damn.
I would trade the Foo Fighters for
But
some
to get,
solo
the reason I started talking about this stupid bullshit is like with those artists, like we always put the story on ourselves and others like they did it themselves. And like they were the one with the pickaxe, like digging for gold. And like it was them, only them, their blood, sweat, and tears night and day. But really, most successful people are created by groups.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about boardroom industry plant groups. I'm talking about like friends, family. It takes a village. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like if you don't have a village, like, or you see a need for one, like you create one. You know what I mean? Like whether it's a podcast or it's a coffee house or it's a artist collective like a Virago, like maybe the people who founded the MFA in like the whatever that was the late 1800s, they probably had an idea similar to what we're having right now.
Yeah.
It didn't pan out like that in the long run, really. A lot of criticisms to be made, but they probably thought that too.
Yeah.
You know? It takes a village.
It really does. It's like even artists, when you talk about self-taught artists, who is really self-taught anymore? Like that's talking about using YouTube tutorials or drawing with your friends.
I learned guitar on YouTube.
That means it's not self-taught. Someone showed you.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
Like you had the gumption and the discipline to continue working on it, but someone was there first.
Yeah, and true self-taught artists, a lot of the times, are kind of lost to history. Like, have you ever heard of Elizabeth Cotton?
No.
She is I don't know I'm probably going to butcher her biography, but she sang the song you might have heard. It's like, freight train, where will you go? Yeah, that's her. And it was a black woman, and I think in the South during, I don't know if it was during Jim Crow or if it was like Reconstruction. Like I said, I'm fucking up her biography, but she couldn't play guitar because she was a woman and she was black, and her brother had a guitar that she would play when no one was around and no one knew that she was playing it.
Yeah.
And nobody fucking taught her, and she didn't have fucking YouTube or like books to read about it, I think. And she taught herself how to play a left-handed guitar upside down in just her own method.
Wow.
That she invented.
That's insane.
I think a lot of people consider her a pioneer of claw hammer guitar playing or banjo playing.
Huh.
Which is kind of weird to explain. But yeah, she literally, like, that, people like that don't exist anymore. Like, you'd have to be locked in an isolation chamber with like I don't know, like people with the spread of information, like you were saying, there aren't that many.
Yeah.
Like truly, like that lady, it would be fucked if someone like that existed again.
Yeah.
Like, and it's sad that happened to her. Like, she went on to create like remarkable art and like revolutionize like folk and blues guitar.
That's incredible.
In a lot of ways. That she's not really famous. Like a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
That she did that. I'm gonna have to like research that. I wish I want
to research this.
I wish I had known to like think about this before I started running my mouth about it, because I probably got a lot wrong. But Elizabeth Cotton, her name is, and she is.
You know what we should do soon?
She is a fixture in American folk music that you may not know about.
We should do an episode soon where we fact check all the shit that we just said off the top of our heads.
Oh, fuck. Like a corrections episode. Yeah. There are a lot of people that do that. Too bad we don't have an audience that would let us know when we fucked up.
Just go back and give the details of all the shit we say.
That'd be cool, though.
It's so important, though, to think about that. Because it's like, that is, to me, a really important reason why you'd want to pull other people up. Because, like, first of all, it's just fucking exciting when someone that you know that's in your circle gets a commission, or they make something new, or they create work that's awesome.
Succeed.
Like, that was one of the really cool things about working at the museum that I really liked, is that a lot of my colleagues were artists. So when they would post something or they would make new work, everybody was buzzing about it the next day. Just like, that's so fucking sick. Did you see what this person posted? That watercolor painting was amazing. Or this person made this. I'm so proud of them.
And it was just so like, nice.
It was great. I love my friends from there. But those kinds of communities are, it's nothing like, not that it wasn't anything special. Like, it was special to me, but you can do that with anybody. Like, if you have a group of friends that actually give a fuck about each other's success and are not just tearing each other down for clout, that's all that is.
Like, that's easy to do, and the benefits that come from that are so profound. Like, I have watercolor techniques that I had a friend, Liz Sheldon, who used to do this thing with watercolor where she would carry a straw in her pencil case and just, like, she would do an ink portrait and then blow out pieces of the portrait to make it look like it was, like, splattered onto the page. And I had never seen that technique before, and she showed me this when I was, like, 13, and I'll never forget it. Like, that's the person who taught me how to do that, and I still do that now on my watercolor portraits. I do that all the time.
Wow.
And it's, like, just some shit someone showed me, you know?
Look at that.
Like, that's so much more valuable than, like, I don't know, maybe not more or less, but
it's kind of like have you read Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon?
I haven't. My mom's given me that.
That's
book,
like
though.
that's like the whole principle of that book, where it's like, I don't know.
Creative
The idea,
transference.
like no, literally, art is not created in a vacuum. It just isn't.
Yeah.
And we are, like we were talking about earlier, are unintentionally influenced by everyone and everything around us that our brains and our bodies are perceiving all the time.
Yeah. So one of the most important things I think you can do for your own art scene is get to know yourself and decide which direction you want to move in and find people that are going in that same direction.
Maybe, not always. I feel like it can be even more enriching when you're hopping on a train that is not
That's true.
your interest at all.
That's true too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just about enrichment and stagnation versus routine. We've reached the point in this episode where we both probably have to pee so fucking bad.
How long have we been talking?
This one's an hour and 21 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. Damn.
Yeah. On that same vein, I'm just going to plug this again, even though if you listen to our podcast, you definitely know this already. But if you're someone who wants to have a conversation with us about this stuff, hit us up.
Yeah, please do. Hit us up, Instagram DMs.
Yeah.
I think we made an email for this a while ago, but I forget.
I don't remember it, did we?
Maybe. Who gives a shit? Hit us up, though.
Who reads emails?
On any of our... Yeah, I completely shut off notifications for all of my email accounts in the past few months. I just said, fuck that shit. Any opportunities come through the pipes, I just won't get them.
I just won't get them.
Fuck them. I don't give a shit anymore. It's all coupons and bank statements anyway.
Oh, God.
And people trying to steal my money. All right. Well, this has been an episode.
This has been an episode.
That was really good. I really enjoyed this one.
I do too.
I have to pee so fucking bad.
All right. Well, are you going to pee on the beach or are we going to...
I probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's a little too public this time. That's a crow.
Oh.
I expected that to be a seagull, but it's a crow. Huh.
Be a crow in a field of seagulls.
Yeah. All right, everybody. That was really cool. I wish that we could be like, all right, and here are the takeaways of everything we just talked about.
I don't know what the fuck I
I
said.
don't know what I said.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry about all my mean jokes about polyamory. I'm just kidding.
You just have some...
What's that in the water? That's not a rock, right?
That's a bird.
Oh, it's a bird.
swimming.
Okay. It's a floating
The
bird.
water looks beautiful now, by the
It
way.
does. Yeah. All right, guys. This has been the Boston Art Podcast.
Boston Mental Health Podcast.
The Boston mentally ill. The Boston's mentally ill people of podcasting.
Of podcasting.
What the fuck?
Polycasting.
We would be idiots if that was our podcast name. That was a good one.
Polycasting.
Yeah. Anyway, fucking whatever. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
What am I about to... I was trying to plug something. I was like, all right, time to plug. What the fuck would I even be talking about? All right, fuck this shit. All right, love you guys.
Love you.
Bye. See ya.